He woke up early in the small apartment where he lived alone. The walls were thin, and the floor creaked under every step. The kitchen had only the basics, and most mornings he could barely make breakfast with what little money he had left from working. Long hours at the small factory, he had always known life was hard, but he had dreams that were bigger than the small space. He called home. He loved cars, especially old classic ones, and he had spent years looking at pictures and watching videos about them, hoping one day he could own one himself. His way to work, he would pass by old garages and car lots. Sometimes he would see vintage cars, parked outside covered in dust and rust, but he could see the beauty hidden under the grime every day. He would imagine himself behind the wheel, feeling the engine roar and the wind brushing past as he drove down empty roads. He knew it was impossible now, but the thought of one day having a car of his own kept him going. One evening after a long shift, he walked past the corner where a small mechanic shop stood. There was a broken car parked outside that looked familiar even from a distance. He recognized it immediately as a 1965 Mustang. The paint was chipped, the tires were flat, and the engine was silent, but he could see it in his mind, restored and running smooth. The sign on the window said it was for sale, and the price was low, much lower than he expected. He felt a mix of excitement and fear. He could barely afford food for the week, and now he was thinking about buying a broken car that would cost almost all his savings. He stopped for a long time staring at the Mustang, imagining himself working on it day after day, fixing the engine, replacing parts, and making it whole. Again, the dream of owning the car was stronger than the fear, and he decided he could not let this opportunity pass. He went home that night and counted every penny he had saved over the months. He made a plan to buy the car and still manage his basic needs. It would be hard, but he was willing to make sacrifices for something he loved. He imagined waking up every morning and seeing the car in front of his apartment, working on it in his free time and slowly bringing it back to life. He could almost feel the engine starting and the tires rolling on the empty streets. Next morning, he went to the mechanic shop and met the owner of the Mustang. The man was older and had kept the car in the back of the shop for many years. It had been a project he never finished, and he was glad someone wanted to give it a new life. They talked for a long time about the car and its history, and the young man listened carefully, taking in every detail. He promised to take care of it, and the owner nodded, agreeing to sell it at the price they discussed. He could hardly believe it when he finally drove the Mustang out of the shop. It did not run well, and the engine made strange noises, but he felt proud and excited at the same time. He parked it in the small space near his apartment and sat inside just looking at it. He could see all the work that needed to be done, but he also saw the beauty and potential in every dent and scratch. The first few weeks were the hardest. He worked long hours at the factory and then came home to work on the car. Every night he would clean it, polish what he could, and try to fix small parts. It was tiring and sometimes frustrating, especially when he did not have the right tools or parts, but he refused to give up. Each small progress felt like a victory and gave him hope that one day the Mustang would run perfectly. Neighbors noticed the car, and some of them laughed or shook their heads, thinking it was a waste of money. They did not understand why he would spend all his energy on a broken car when he could barely make ends meet. He ignored their comments and focused on the joy the car brought him and the dream it represented. He knew that the hard work now would pay off later, and that the Mustang was more than just a car. It was a symbol of his determination and passion. Started visiting junkyards, looking for parts, and talking to other car enthusiasts who could give him advice. Every person he met shared stories about old cars and gave tips on fixing engines or finding rare parts. Some people offered to help him for free, seeing his dedication and passion for the project. Each day he learned something new, and slowly the Mustang began to look better and feel more alive. One evening, after a long day of work, he sat in the Mustang and thought about how far he had come. Even though the car was still broken and needed a lot of work, he felt proud of himself for making the decision to buy it. He remembered the nights when he worried about money and food and realized that the happiness he felt working on the car was worth every sacrifice. The Mustang had become a friend and a source of strength, giving him hope for the future. He dreamed of driving the car down open roads, feeling the engine roar and the wind brushing past. He imagined showing it to friends and family and telling them how he restored it with his own hands. The thought of completing the Mustang filled him with energy and determination. He knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that every small step brought him closer to his dreams. The weeks turned into months. He made more progress. He replaced broken parts, cleaned the interior, and worked tirelessly on the engine. Some days he felt exhausted and doubted himself, but then he would look at the Mustang and remember why he started. The car was more than a project. It was a promise to himself to never give up on what he loved. One morning, he noticed smoke coming from the engine. He panicked and thought that all his hard work was ruined, but he calmly checked everything and discovered a small mistake that he could fix. He learned from the experience, and it made him even more careful and determined. He realized that challenges were part of the journey, and that overcoming them made the success even sweeter. He spent weekends researching restoration techniques and watching videos of other classic cars being restored. Some of the techniques were new and difficult, but he tried them carefully. Step by step, he kept a notebook of all the work he did and all the lessons he learned. It became a diary of his journey with the Mustang and a reminder of his dedication and growth. Neighbors slowly began to notice the changes in the car, and in him, they saw the determination and passion that he poured into every detail, and some of them started to respect his work. Even those who doubted him began to ask questions and show interest in the Mustang. The young man felt happy not because of the attention, but because he had stayed true to his dream and proved to himself that dedication and hard work mattered more than doubts and obstacles. One evening, as the sun set, he sat inside the Mustang and imagined the day it would finally run smoothly. He pictured himself driving through the streets, feeling the engine roar and the tires rolling smoothly. He imagined the freedom and joy it would bring and felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that he had chosen to follow his passion. Despite the hardships made every moment of struggle worthwhile, he thought about the sacrifices he had made to afford the car and how he balanced work and restoration. Every penny saved and every extra hour spent working on the Mustang was now a part of his story. He realized that the journey itself was teaching him lessons about patience, perseverance, and the value of dreams. His life slowly began to change because of the Mustang. It gave him hope, motivation, and a purpose beyond just surviving. The car became a part of his identity, representing resilience, passion, and the courage to chase dreams. No matter how impossible they seemed, he could see the Mustang transforming, and in turn, he felt himself transforming into someone stronger, more confident, and full of determination. The young man knew that the road ahead was still long, and that the Mustang had a lot more work to be done. But for the first time, he felt truly alive. He had taken a risk, bought a broken car when he could barely afford food, and every step he took to restore it filled him with pride and excitement. The Mustang was no longer just a car. It was a symbol of hope, a dream coming true, and a reminder that even in difficult times, passion and determination could create something beautiful. After months of hard work, the Mustang was slowly changing. He had spent every free moment cleaning, repairing, and learning how to make it better. Engine still had problems, but the body was shining, and the tires were slowly replaced one by one. Each day brought new challenges, but also new victories. He started waking up earlier to check on the car before work and stayed up late at night, making small improvements. The apartment smelled of grease, oil, and polish, and every corner had a tool or part he was using to fix the car. The neighbors began noticing the changes, and some even came to watch or ask questions. They were curious how someone could work so hard on a car when life was already difficult. Some laughed at first, thinking it was foolish, but the determination in his eyes made them pause, and some began to admire the dedication. The young man did not care about the opinions. He cared about the progress he was making and the dream he was slowly bringing to life. He started visiting local junkyards and old garages. Looking for parts, he would spend hours searching for pieces that fit the Mustang. Even if they were rusty or broken, he learned how to repair and restore them, sometimes using guidance from online videos or advice from strangers who shared his passion. Some people offered help, seeing how much he cared, and sometimes they brought spare parts or tools just to see the car restored. His network slowly grew, and he felt part of a small community who understood the love for old cars. Every night, he would sit inside the Mustang, imagining the day it would run perfectly. He would picture driving through the streets, feeling the engine roar and the wind brushing past. The thought filled him with energy and made the exhaustion fade. Away he kept a notebook where he wrote down every part he fixed, every problem he encountered, and every lesson he learned. It became a diary of the Mustang and a reflection of his own growth as he faced every challenge. The engine was the hardest. Part 2. Fix. The pistons were worn. The wires tangled and some pieces were missing. He spent weeks trying different solutions, sometimes feeling frustrated and hopeless, but he never gave up. Every time he thought of quitting, he would remember the moment he first saw the Mustang and how he could not leave it behind. The fire of passion and determination kept him going, and every small improvement brought immense joy. His friends at work began noticing the obsession, and some teased him. They could not understand why he would spend hours on a broken car instead of resting or saving money for other needs. He ignored the teasing and focused on the joy the car brought him. The Mustang had become more than a car. It was a part of his life, giving him hope, purpose, and a sense of accomplishment that nothing else could provide. One weekend, he met a retired mechanic who lived nearby. The man had worked on cars for decades and loved classic models. He offered guidance and shared techniques. That made the restoration easier. He taught how to adjust the engine, carefully polish the body without damaging it, and fix the small details that made a big difference. The young man listened carefully, tried everything, and learned quickly. Soon, the Mustang began showing signs of transformation, the engine sounding smoother, the body reflecting light, and the interior looking almost new. He still faced financial struggles every day. He had to balance work, paying bills, buying food, and buying small parts for the Mustang. Sometimes he had to skip meals or delay other payments, but he accepted it as part of the journey. The sacrifices were difficult, but he felt that the happiness the car brought him was worth more than anything money could. By each improvement in the Mustang felt like a step towards a better life, not just for the car, but for himself. He also learned patience and resilience. Some parts took months to find and fix. Sometimes a mistake would set him back days or weeks. But he kept going slowly. The car became more than a project. It became a teacher, showing him how persistence could overcome difficulties. He started applying the same lessons to other areas of life, facing work challenges and personal problems with more confidence and calmness. The Mustang started drawing attention from strangers who passed by. He would sometimes hear people say that it looked amazing, even though it was still not running perfectly. The compliments motivated him even more, and he felt proud of every small step he had taken. The car was becoming a symbol of his hard work and determination, not just for him, but for everyone who saw it. He realized that passion and effort could inspire others even without words. One evening, while working under the dim light of a street lamp, a neighbor stopped and asked why he worked so hard on the car when it seemed impossible. He smiled and explained that the Mustang was not just a car, it was a dream and a challenge that taught him patience and courage. He said that fixing it was a way to believe in himself and to prove that impossible things could be achieved with dedication. The neighbor nodded silently, understanding more than words could express, and left with a quiet respect. Days turned into weeks, and the engine began to show real signs of life. The young man would spend hours listening to it, humming slightly and adjusting every detail. He became skilled in handling the Mustang with care and precision. He could tell which part needed attention just by listening or feeling the vibration. He also started enjoying the process, not just the result. Learning to fix problems and see improvements became as joyful as imagining the car driving smoothly through the streets. The interior also needed attention. The seats were torn, the dashboard cracked, and the floor dirty. He carefully cleaned and restored each piece. Sometimes he had to sew small parts or replace pieces with what he could find in junkyards. He took pride in every detail and imagined how it would feel to sit inside a fully restored Mustang. Someday he dreamed of showing it to friends and family and telling the story of the hard work and dedication that brought it back to life. He also started documenting the journey. He took pictures, notes, and even small sketches of the car and the parts he fixed. It became a record of progress and motivation for days when he felt tired or discouraged. Looking at old notes showed him how far he had come and how much he had learned. The diary of the Mustang was also a reflection of his growth and determination, reminding him that nothing was impossible if he put his heart into it. the neighborhood slowly started to change how they saw him. They realized that the young man was not foolish. He was passionate, skilled, and determined. They would sometimes stop by to ask how the work was going, or offer small tips and help. The Mustang was slowly becoming a symbol in the community, not just of a car being fixed, but of the courage to follow a dream despite difficulties. Every improvement brought smiles and small words of encouragement, which made him even more motivated. He faced nights when he felt exhausted and hopeless. The engine would not start, or a part would break while fixing it, but then he would look at the Mustang and remember the first day he saw it rusted and broken, and how he could not leave it behind. Every challenge became a lesson, and every small victory a reason to keep going. He realized that true passion required effort, sacrifice, and resilience, and that nothing worthwhile came without struggle. The weekends were spent at junkyards or visiting old car shows. He learned about different restoration techniques and even discovered rare parts that could help the Mustang. He met other enthusiasts who shared stories, advice, and sometimes parts. They admired his dedication and offered help without expecting anything in return. The young man felt supported and inspired, knowing that he was not alone in his love for classic cars. One rainy day, he managed to start the engine for the first time in months. Even though it sputtered and smoked, it was a triumph. He sat inside listening to the sound. Feeling proud and excited, he knew that the journey was far from over, but this moment showed that progress was real and possible. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, and every small step had brought him closer to his dream. The Mustang had become a part of his life, giving him energy, motivation, and hope for the future. It was more than a car. It was a symbol of courage, passion, and perseverance, each dent repaired and each part fixed. Reflected his hard work and dedication, he realized that this journey was teaching him lessons he could use in all aspects of life, facing challenges with patience and determination. Learning from mistakes and celebrating every small achievement, even though the road ahead was long, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had started with a broken car when he could barely afford food, and now he was building something remarkable with his own hands. The Mustang was slowly transforming, and in turn he felt himself transforming into someone stronger. More confident and full of determination, he knew that the day it would drive smoothly was coming, and that all the struggles and sacrifices would be worth it. One morning while working on the Mustang, a knock came at the door. He opened it to see the original owner standing there. The man was older, with gentle eyes and a quiet presence. He looked at the car, and then at him with a mixture of curiosity and concern. The young man felt nervous, wondering if the owner wanted the car back or regretted selling it. They had not expected to meet again after the sale, but here he was, standing quietly in the doorway. Their owner smiled and explained that he had been thinking about the Mustang and wanted to see how it was doing. He shared memories about the car, how it had belonged to his father, and how much it meant to him. When he sold it, he had hoped someone would care for it, and he wanted to see that it had found the right person. The young man listened intently, feeling a mixture of respect, gratitude, and excitement that the original owner was here. They walked around the car together. The owner pointed out details. He remembered the scratches, the small dents, and the places that had been repaired over the years. He shared stories about drives and moments when the car had been special to him. The young man absorbed every word, feeling a deeper connection, not just to the car, but to the people who had loved it before him. Each story gave him a sense of responsibility to care for the Mustang and to keep its history alive. Her owner asked about the work done so far, and the young man explained every repair, every replacement, and every lesson he had learned while restoring it. He showed the diary where he recorded every detail and shared pictures of the progress. The older man nodded, impressed by the dedication and care that had gone into each step. He could see that the Mustang was in capable hands, and that the young man had treated it with respect and passion. They spent hours talking about cars, engines, parts, and restoration techniques. The older man offered advice and guidance, sometimes showing how to handle certain components or sharing tricks he had learned over the years. The young man listened carefully and tried every suggestion. He felt privileged to learn from someone with so much experience and wisdom. The connection between them grew stronger with every conversation, and the Mustang became a bridge that linked past memories to present passion. The original owner shared stories about challenges he had faced while working on the car and how he had overcome them. Sometimes he laughed about mistakes or things he had learned the hard way. The young man realized that even the experienced had struggles, and that persistence was key. The stories inspired him to keep going, even when the restoration seemed difficult or progress was slow. Every word motivated him and gave him new ideas for improving. The Carthy talked about the future too. The older man encouraged the young man to take his time and enjoy the process of restoring the Mustang. He emphasized that the journey was as important as the final result, and that caring for the car with patience would make the accomplishment. Even sweeter, the young man felt reassured that he was on the right path and that the challenges he faced were part of a meaningful journey. During their conversation, the owner revealed that he had kept a few spare parts in storage just in case they were ever needed. He offered them to help with the restoration, and the young man gratefully accepted. Every piece he received made the car closer to completion, and each gift felt like a vote of confidence and trust in his abilities. He realized that passion and effort were recognized and appreciated even by strangers, and that the Mustang had brought them together through shared love and care. After the visit, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Every challenge he had faced now felt meaningful. Because the Mustang was not just his dream, it was part of a history and a story that he was continuing. The responsibility of caring for it made him more careful, patient, and thoughtful. In every repair and adjustment, he saw himself not just as a restorer, but as a keeper of memories and a creator of new ones. He started working on the Mustang with even more focus and attention. Every morning he inspected the engine, checked every wire and every bolt, making sure everything was in order. He polished the body carefully, repaired small damages, and cleaned every corner with meticulous care. Each improvement felt like a gift to the car and to the people who had loved it before. He took pride in each detail and imagined the joy of finally seeing it run perfectly on the open road. The community continued to notice the transformation, and some even came to ask for advice. They got their own vehicles. The young man shared what he had learned about engines, parts, and restoration techniques, and sometimes even helped repair small problems. The Mustang had become a symbol not just of his determination, but of inspiration for others, showing that passion and effort could create remarkable results. The car had become a teacher, spreading lessons about patience, persistence, and dedication. Evening, while working on the engine, he noticed a problem he had overlooked before. The wires were tangled and some parts were misaligned. He felt frustrated, but then remembered the lessons from the original owner about careful attention and persistence. He calmly addressed the issue step by step, adjusting each wire, replacing faulty pieces, and checking every connection. Slowly, the engine began to respond, and he felt a sense of relief, pride, an accomplishment. The moment reminded him that challenges were part of the journey, and overcoming them was part of growth. He also began thinking about the story he could tell through the Mustang, how it had survived years of neglect, how it had been restored, and how it connected people from different times. The idea motivated him to document every repair, every lesson, and every memory. He started taking notes, sketches, and pictures to create a record, not just of the car, but of the journey and the lessons learned along the way. The evenings became a time for reflection, sitting inside the Mustang. He imagined driving through empty streets, feeling the engine roar and the wind brushing past. He thought about how far he had come from the day he barely had enough money for food to now restoring a classic car. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that his efforts were paying off and that the Mustang had become a symbol of hope, passion, and perseverance in his life. He faced long nights and tough weekends working on the car, balancing his job and personal needs, but he felt motivated knowing that every effort brought him closer to the dream. The Mustang had become more than a vehicle. It was a teacher, a companion, an A&D, a symbol of his resilience. Each repair and each small success reminded him that dedication and patience could overcome obstacles, and that hard work created results worth celebrating. The original owner returned occasionally to check on progress, sometimes sharing advice, and sometimes just observing the work done so far. He complimented the young man on his attention to detail and the care he had given the car. The visits were encouraging and strengthened the bond between them. The Mustang had become a bridge between past and present, connecting two generations through shared passion and respect. Through these experiences, he learned not just about cars, but about life, about patience, persistence, and the rewards of hard work. He realized that every challenge was an opportunity to grow, every mistake a chance to learn, and every victory a reason to keep moving forward. The Mustang had become more than a dream. It had become a reflection of his character and values, teaching lessons that extended beyond the garage and the streets. He also began sharing the journey with friends and neighbors. Some came to watch the progress, offer small help, or simply talk about cars. Their interest encouraged him and made the project feel even more meaningful. The Mustang had become a centerpiece of community connection, showing that passion could inspire and create bonds between people, and that dedication to a dream could be recognized and celebrated by others. The restoration was far from complete, but every day brought improvement. The engine was smoother, the body cleaner, the interior more comfortable, and the details sharper. He felt proud of the progress and motivated to continue even when faced with setbacks. He remembered the words and guidance of the original owner and stayed focused on the journey. Each challenge was a lesson, each small victory a reward, and each day a step closer to realizing the dream of seeing the Mustang run perfectly. Months passed, and the Mustang was almost completely restored, every detail polished and fixed, the engine running smoothly and the body gleaming in the sunlight. The young man spent hours testing the car carefully, feeling the power of the engine and the smoothness of the ride. Each drive brought excitement and satisfaction and reminded him of all the work and dedication it had taken to reach this point. He could see the transformation clearly, not just in the car, but in himself. The community noticed the change as well. Some neighbors who had doubted him now admired his work and sometimes stopped to ask questions or offer encouragement. The Mustang had become a symbol of determination and perseverance, showing that passion and effort could overcome obstacles and create remarkable results. The young man felt proud not for the recognition, but for knowing that his hard work was paying off, and that the car was finally alive again. He started participating in local car events, showing the Mustang to other enthusiasts. Each person who saw it was impressed by the restoration and often asked about the process. The young man shared his journey openly, explaining the challenges, sacrifices, and small victories along the way. He wanted others to understand that success did not come easily, but with patience, persistence, and love for what you do. The Mustang was now a story of resilience and passion, and it inspired others to pursue their dreams. He also began thinking about the future. He imagined taking the Mustang on long drives through empty roads, feeling the freedom and joy it brought. He pictured meeting other car enthusiasts, sharing stories, experiences, and learning from one another. The car was now not just a personal dream, but a connection to a larger community that valued history, craftsmanship, and passion. Every idea filled him with excitement and purpose. Original owner visited, occasionally checking the progress, and sometimes just to watch the car. He was impressed by the care and attention given, and often shared advice on small adjustments or improvements. The young man listened carefully and implemented the suggestions, learning more about the car with every visit. Each interaction strengthened the bond and made him feel that he was part of something bigger than himself. The Mustang had become a bridge connecting past memories and present. Dedication, financial struggles were still part of life, but the satisfaction of completing the Mustang and seeing it run perfectly made the sacrifices worthwhile. He continued balancing work and restoration, carefully prioritizing tasks and managing resources wisely. The discipline learned through the process extended into other areas of life, giving him confidence in handling challenges and making decisions effectively. Every improvement in the car reflected growth in patience, resilience, and problem-solving. He also started mentoring younger enthusiasts in the neighborhood, showing them basic techniques for maintenance, restoration, and repair. The Mustang became a tool for teaching passion, perseverance, and practical skills. The young man shared lessons, learned from mistakes and small victories, and encouraged others to follow their dreams no matter how impossible they seemed. The joy of helping others added another layer of fulfillment to the journey and deepened his connection to the community. Evenings were often spent reflecting inside the Mustang, feeling the steering wheel, the smoothness of the leather seats, and the hum of the engine, he thought about the long journey from the day he barely had enough money for food to now driving a fully restored classic car. Each memory of struggle and sacrifice brought gratitude and a sense of accomplishment. He realized that the journey itself was as valuable as the final result, teaching lessons about persistence, patience, and the rewards of hard work. He documented every detail of the Mustang restoration, taking pictures, notes, and videos, sharing them online and with friends. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People were inspired by the story of someone who started with so little and achieved so much through dedication and love for a dream. The Mustang had become a symbol not just of restoration but of hope, determination, and courage, inspiring others to believe in themselves and their abilities. He took care to maintain the car, meticulously checking every part, regularly cleaning, polishing, and ensuring everything functioned perfectly. The responsibility of ownership taught discipline, attention to detail, and pride in workmanship. Each time he started the engine, felt a surge of satisfaction and joy, knowing that every step had been earned through effort and care. He enjoyed the process as much as the outcome and valued the lessons learned along the way. Long drives became moments of reflection and freedom. Feeling the engine roar and the wind brushing past, he explored empty roads and quiet streets, savoring each moment behind the wheel. The drives reminded him why he had worked so hard, and the joy of experiencing a dream. Realized he shared some rides with friends and neighbors, telling them about the journey and the lessons learned, inspiring them to pursue their passions despite challenges. The Mustang also strengthened relationships. The bond with the original owner grew through shared stories. In respect for the car, the friendship became a source of support, encouragement, and inspiration. The car had created connections that went beyond the restoration itself, bringing people together. Through shared passion and care, the young man valued these connections and understood that dreams could create community and meaning beyond personal satisfaction. Every detail of the car told a story. The scratches, dents, and old marks represented history and experience, while the restored parts reflected effort, patience, and skill. He saw the Mustang as a living story, a combination of past memories and present dedication. The process taught him to appreciate both imperfection and growth, understanding that value came not just from perfection but from care, effort, and meaning invested in something loved. He began planning to enter the Mustang in larger exhibitions, showcasing classic cars to wider audiences. The idea of sharing the story of struggle, determination, and restoration motivated him further. He wanted others to see that even when life was hard and resources limited, passion and effort could create extraordinary results. The Mustang had become a vehicle not just for travel, but for inspiration, hope, and human connection. Reflected on personal growth gained through the journey, patience, discipline, perseverance, and skill had improved. Confidence in problem solving had strengthened, and he had learned the importance of community and mentorship. The Mustang had been a teacher, showing that challenges could be overcome, and that dedication and love for a dream could create something remarkable beyond material value. As life continued with its challenges, the Mustang stood as a symbol of achievement and resilience. He continued maintaining and enjoying the car, knowing that it represented not just a dream realized, but a journey of learning and growth. Every drive, every repair, every moment spent with the car reinforced the lessons learned and strengthened the sense of purpose, pride, and joy that had grown through the long process. The young man understood that success was not just in the final result, but in the persistence, effort, and passion poured into the journey. The Mustang had transformed from a broken car into a masterpiece of dedication and care, and in the process had transformed him into a more resilient, confident, and fulfilled person. Each detail of the car reflected a story of struggle, determination, and triumph, inspiring not only himself but those around him. The Mustang was finally complete. Every part restored, polished, and running perfectly. The young man could hardly believe how far the car had come from the broken, rusty shell he had bought with barely enough money for food. The engine purred smoothly, the tires rolled perfectly, and the body shined in the sunlight. Each drive reminded him of the long journey of effort, sacrifice, and dedication that had brought the car to life. He reflected on all the lessons learned. Patience, perseverance, and determination had become part of his character. The struggles with money, time, and resources had taught him discipline and problem-solving. Every small victory during the restoration had boosted his confidence and pride. He realized that the Mustang had changed his life as much as he had changed. The car the community continued to notice and celebrate the achievement. Some neighbors who had doubted him now approached with respect and curiosity. Others came to see the car, asking questions and admiring the details. He shared his journey openly, telling stories of struggles, sacrifices, and lessons learned. The Mustang had become a symbol of hope and inspiration, showing that passion and dedication could overcome obstacles and create something extraordinary. The original owner visited again and was amazed at the transformation. He praised the young man for his dedication, care, and respect for the car. They talked about the history of the Mustang, the memories attached to it, and the journey of restoring it. The conversation was filled with admiration, respect, and shared joy. The bond between them had grown stronger through the journey, and the Mustang had become a bridge connecting past memories with present achievements. The young man began taking the Mustang on long drives, exploring roads he had only dreamed about before. He felt freedom and joy, feeling the wind brushing past and the engine roaring beneath him. Every drive was a reminder of the hard work, effort, and love poured into the car. The joy was not just in driving, but in reflecting on the journey and the growth it brought to his life. He also started sharing his story with others, offering guidance and encouragement to people who faced challenges in their own lives. Some sought advice on car restoration. Others were inspired to pursue their dreams despite limited resources. The Mustang had become a tool for inspiration, teaching lessons about resilience, courage, and the rewards of persistence. The young man found fulfillment not just in owning the car, but in helping others find motivation and hope. Restoration had strengthened his skills and knowledge. He became proficient in mechanics, problem-solving, and project management. The process taught him patience, attention to detail, and careful planning. Each part of the car represented a challenge overcome and a lesson learned. The experience extended beyond the Mustang, teaching him how to approach challenges in life calmly and effectively. The Mustang became a centerpiece in exhibitions and car shows, attracting attention and admiration. People were impressed by the transformation and the story behind it. The young man shared the journey with humility, explaining the sacrifices, hard work, and learning involved. He wanted everyone to understand that the results were a product of dedication and love for the project, not luck or talent alone. The Mustang symbolized the power of persistence and passion. He also continued documenting every detail of the Mustang restoration, taking notes, pictures, and videos. He created a record of the journey, showing the progression from broken, neglected car to fully restored masterpiece. The documentation became a source of motivation for days when challenges seemed overwhelming, and a reminder of the value of dedication and effort. It also inspired others to take on their own projects and pursue their dreams. Young man felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that the Mustang had become more than a car. It had become a symbol of personal growth, resilience, and achievement. Each scratch and dent restored reflected lessons learned and personal victories. The car carried memories from the original owner and new memories created through the restoration journey. It was a living testament to dedication, care, and love for a dream. He also reflected on the friendships and connections made during the restoration. The original owner had become a mentor and friend. Neighbors and fellow enthusiasts had offered support, guidance, and encouragement. The Mustang had created bonds that transcended the mechanical work, bringing people together through shared passion and care. The young man valued these relationships, understanding that dreams could create community and meaningful connections. Every drive reminded him of the journey and the growth it had brought. He felt gratitude for the challenges faced and the skills learned. The Mustang was no longer just a vehicle, but a companion and teacher. The young man had transformed through the journey, becoming more confident, patient, and resilient. He realized that the effort invested in the car had also been an investment in himself. He began mentoring others, sharing knowledge about restoration techniques, mechanical skills, and the importance of patience and dedication. The Mustang became a source of education and inspiration, showing that challenges could be overcome in dreams. Achieved with persistence and care, the young man found fulfillment not just in completing the car, but in helping others learn and grow through the same passion. The Mustang also inspired him to pursue other goals and dreams. He applied the lessons learned about patience, planning, and perseverance to different aspects of life. Facing challenges with confidence and determination, the restoration had shown him that hard work and love for a goal could create extraordinary results, and that every small step forward was meaningful and valuable. The car became a symbol of hope, not only for him, but for the community. The story of someone who could barely afford food and yet restored a classic car inspired others to believe in themselves and their dreams. The Mustang carried a message of resilience, determination, and passion, showing that obstacles could be overcome through effort and care. Each detail of the car reflected a story of struggle, achievement, and transformation. The young man continued to care for the Mustang, meticulously maintaining, polishing, and checking every part regularly. The responsibility taught discipline and pride in workmanship. Each ride and each repair was a reminder of the journey and the growth it had brought. He enjoyed every moment knowing that the Mustang was a living story of passion, persistence, and achievement. Long drives continued to be moments of joy, reflection, and freedom. Feeling the wind, the smooth ride, and the hum of the engine reminded him of the hard work and dedication that had made the car whole. He shared some drives with friends, neighbors, and enthusiasts, telling the story of restoration challenges and triumphs. Inspiring others and passing on lessons learned during the journey became as important as driving itself. The Mustang had become more than a dream realized. It was a reflection of personal growth, skill development, and the power of dedication. The young man understood that success was in the journey, not just the destination. That every challenge faced, every mistake learned from, and every small victory achieved contributed to a story of resilience, passion, and triumph. The Mustang carried a legacy of care, history, and hard work, showing that dreams pursued with determination could become reality. He reflected on how far he had come from struggling to afford food to owning a fully restored classic car. The journey had transformed his perspective, skills, and confidence. The Mustang had taught him about perseverance, patience, and the rewards of passion and effort. It had also created bonds, friendships, and a sense of purpose beyond material accomplishment. The car was now a symbol of hope, achievement, and human connection, inspiring not only him, but everyone who heard its story. Even after the Mustang was fully restored, the young man found himself thinking about the journey often. He realized that the restoration had taught him lessons that went beyond cars and engines. It had taught him patience, discipline, and resilience. Each challenge faced and each small victory achieved had shaped him into a more confident and capable person. He began reflecting on how the Mustang had changed not just his daily life, but his perspective on what was possible when effort and passion were applied consistently. Started noticing things in his life he had taken for granted: the simple joy of completing a task, the pride in seeing improvement, and the value of persistence became clearer. He looked at other areas of his life with the same attention and care he had given the Mustang. He began organizing his home, managing finances better, and approaching work challenges with the focus he had learned from restoring the car. Each small change brought more confidence and satisfaction. The young man also felt a strong desire to share the lessons learned. He began talking to friends, neighbors, and others in the community about the importance of dedication and patience. He explained how challenges were opportunities for growth and how consistent effort could turn dreams into reality. He shared stories from the restoration, emphasizing that even when resources were limited, determination and careful planning could achieve remarkable results. The Mustang had become more than a car. It was a story of hope and inspiration. Started helping other people with their own small projects, teaching what he had learned about problem-solving tools and planning. He showed that mistakes were not failures, but chances to learn and improve. The community began to see him not just as someone who loved cars, but as a mentor and a source of encouragement. The restoration had created not only a beautiful car, but also a network of support and shared knowledge. Each morning he would start his day thinking of the tasks ahead, reflecting on what he could improve, and planning carefully. He approached work and personal responsibilities with the focus and patience developed through months of restoration. The young man realized that the principles of careful observation, testing, adjusting, and learning applied to life as much as they did to car restoration. Each success reinforced the habits of diligence and thoughtfulness that had grown naturally during the project. He began taking longer drives with the Mustang, exploring distant roads and quiet landscapes. He felt the freedom and satisfaction of being behind the wheel, enjoying the results of his efforts, the hum of the engine, the smooth ride, and the sight of the car moving confidently on the road reminded him of all the challenges overcome. The drives became moments of reflection, celebration, and planning for future projects or goals. He valued the sense of control and purpose they brought. The young man also considered documenting the story of the Mustang. More formally, he wanted to create a record that others could learn from and be inspired by. He wrote down experiences, insights, challenges, and techniques, discovering that recounting the journey helped him understand the growth and changes he had undergone. The documentation became a personal reflection tool and a potential resource for others facing challenges or pursuing dreams with limited resources. He began experimenting with more advanced restoration techniques, exploring mechanical innovations and creative solutions. He felt confident enough to attempt complex repairs and improvements. Applying all the knowledge gained from months of careful work, he approached each new task with a calm determination, understanding that mistakes were learning opportunities and that consistent effort would yield results. The Mustang became a workshop for developing skills, creativity, and patience. As he continued refining the car, he also engaged with other car enthusiasts, attending shows and meeting people who shared his passion. He exchanged ideas, techniques, and experiences, discovering new perspectives and learning from the stories of others. The Mustang served as a conversation starter and a bridge to a community of like-minded individuals who valued dedication, craftsmanship, and history. He found motivation and inspiration in these interactions that fueled further care and improvements. The young man also started thinking about giving back. He considered helping others with limited resources restore or maintain their own vehicles. Offering guidance, tools, and encouragement, he saw that the journey of the Mustang had shown him the value of support, community, and sharing knowledge. He wanted to create opportunities for others to experience the satisfaction of accomplishment and growth through practical projects and challenges. He reflected on the symbolism of the Mustang in his life. The car represented more than skill and perseverance. It was a reminder of courage to follow a dream despite limitations and obstacles. The scratches and repairs symbolized past struggles, while the polished surfaces and smooth engine reflected achievement and personal growth. The Mustang had become a living record of determination, learning, and transformation, and a daily reminder of what could be accomplished through passion and effort. The young man also focused on personal growth, applying lessons from the restoration to emotional and social challenges. He developed patience when facing frustration, empathy when helping others, and strategic thinking when solving problems. Each lesson reinforced the others, creating a pattern of thoughtful action and resilience that permeated many areas of his life. The Mustang had been a catalyst for broader personal development. He occasionally revisited the original owner, sharing updates, stories, and experiences from the ongoing care of the Mustang. They discussed maintenance challenges, lessons learned, and the joy of seeing the car thrive in its restored condition. The relationship strengthened over shared appreciation, respect, and mutual interest in the car and its history. The Mustang had created connections that went beyond ownership, linking people through passion, care, and shared achievement. The men continued to enjoy daily maintenance and regular drives, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Each task completed reminded him of the journey and of the personal growth achieved through dedication and patience. He celebrated small victories, acknowledging that consistent effort over time produced results that were both tangible and rewarding. He realized that the Mustang was a teacher, constantly reinforcing the values of persistence, attention, and love for what one pursues. Also explored ways to inspire the next generation, sharing stories of challenges overcome and the process of transforming a broken car into a masterpiece. He encouraged curiosity, creativity, and careful problem solving, showing that even limited resources could be leveraged with effort in planning. The Mustang became a symbol and tool for teaching practical skills, life lessons, and the joy of accomplishing meaningful goals through perseverance and passion.